Welcome, people. This is our first live stream here. Today we're going to go through a video explaining 5 budget pedals that you absolutely must own. Let's get to the stream and let's see our special guest for today. So let's welcome him in. Hi.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Right.
So, let's try this. You can hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
You can hear me, right. So the fun thing here is that the live stream is a good minute and a half behind what we're doing. So this is going to be fascinating.
Indeed. We've had a few little technical hitches here today. And I'm really sorry if I keep looking down because my monitor's down here rather than up here at the stream. So I'll try my best to face you viewers. Thank you for watching. I can see we've got a few in the chat already. It's a new software to me as well, so do be patient with our blunders. But we're going to go through 5 absolutely awesome budget pedals that you absolutely must own. These are chosen by you, believe it or not. So they are chosen by the top 5 in terms of views over 2022. So these are pedals that were demoed in 2022 and got the most views within that time. I'd say let's get on with the first one. So here's number 1. So there we have the Sonicake IR, an absolutely brilliant budget pedal. So this is an IR loader, so it takes the place of the cab within your signal. This one's really good one because it's potentially the cheapest one that I've ever found, and it's incredibly feature rich. So it's got XLR out, which you don't find on even some of the more expensive models, and you can connect it via USB to your computer to transfer IRs onto it. This is one that you've also tried out, isn't it, Anjo?
Yeah, I've got it in a drawer around here somewhere, and it's one of those pedals that I wasn't that convinced by initially because it's cheap. There's no display on it. You got one big knob, one little knob, and this sort of XLR thing bolted on the side of it.
Yeah.
But actually, I was really impressed with it. The cabs that are built into it are actually really good. And with a little bit of sort of jiggery pokery, you can put in any cabs you want. Yeah. So it's kind of, I think oddly, one of the better ones because it's so simple that I do have it in my gig bag when now that I'm gigging, as a backup to my kind of ampless setup that I've got.
It's really good as a backup. I did a video on pedal boards of doom where I used the TC Impulse for that, basically because my amp had exploded and I wanted to
yes.
I wanted to see if I could basically run my pedal board in an emergency situation with an IR loader at the end, and this would probably do a more thorough job because it's got that XLR out.
And I think that having the balanced XLR is such a big thing because it's just one less bit of kit you got to have around. You don't have to have the impedance adapter to put yourself into a pedal, into a mixing desk, and that kind of stuff. So, as you say, I've used other ones where it didn't have that, and it's just kind of I can't even think. It's not the most expensive pedal in the world, this, is it? It's sort of it's about in the £50 range.
Yeah, about 40-50 quid, which for an IR loader, the next one up, I think, was the Moore Radar, which is
yes, and that's quite a lot more expensive as well.
Yeah, it's about 120. So absolutely brilliant pedal. And like you said, the range of IRs that you get on this are quite vast. So it starts off at a 1x8 Champ, which is not my personal favourite, but it's definitely a sound. It goes all the way through like 112s, 212s, all the way up to 412s, and even has got some bass IRs built in as well.
Which you immediately replace with your own IRs because you don't need them.
Yeah, there's a little trick that some people have used as well, because this has got no switch on it, as you can see in the picture. If you replace one of the two bass IRs with nothing, you can use those as a mute switch. And
yes,
yeah, like bypass the signal, which is brilliant. So
yeah, no, very cool piece of kit.
Yeah, indeed. I've seen Josh in the comments saying he was very impressed with the Black Hammer that they did as well, which was the like one of the multi effects units. I think we did a couple of those on the pedal.
Oh yeah. I mean, actually, on my actual board down here somewhere, you can't see. Obviously, I'm pointing at it. No point. I've got the Big Muff, the Phasey Cream, something like that. It's called. And it's as good as any real Big Muff I've used. So yeah, I mean, Sonicake are definitely in that kind of region of mass-produced.
Who's in there? Who accused me of being asleep because the chat was a bit late? I'm sorry.
No technology.
Indeed.
So just to set you up for the scene here, right? I can't see anything other than my screen. So I'm watching the live stream, which is about a minute behind what we're actually saying. So until about the end of you talking about the Sonic IR, I didn't know what it was because the video wasn't showing. So we are properly having technology issues here. So give me a clue the next time.
Yeah, I'll give you some clues for the next one. We've also got Josh from Pedalboards of Doom, who
hey Josh
talked about the Black Hammer, was it? We've also got Nelly Bob and Gear Junkie, who are absolute mainstays here on the channel. See them?
Neely Bob, not Nelly Bob.
Neely Bob, sorry. My eyesight's not particularly great, so I do apologise. But absolute just legends on the channel. So hi guys. Right, so let's go into number 4, which is the Demon Effects Jan Ray. There we have it. That was the Demon Effects Jan Ray. So very much like all of the Demon Effects stuff, like very copyright, just flying underneath that copyright radar. But
I mean, is it just flying under the radar? I mean, that is taking a dump on the radar, that one.
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten away with a lot more than I thought they would. But the pedal itself is based on the Jan Ray, which is kind of Timmy, within the kind of Timmy arena. So it's like transparent-ish. I don't like to use the word transparent because transparent isn't transparent. It's just less mid-pushed.
I've got a video on that, folks.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm going to use the buzzword transparent, but take it with a pinch of salt. So it's transparent overdrive with a 2-band EQ, low to mid, kind of very bluesy. This is the one pedal out of the list that you've not tried, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But obviously, I've tried a few of the Demon FX pedals, and it's like all of them, I think, in that it's...
Bimpson, hi. Sorry, we just had Bimpson come in the chat.
That right, hello. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool pedal. It's one of those ones which, as you say, a little bit close to the knuckle. but like all of their pedals, it kind of does the job. But I think from watching your demo of it, what it doesn't suffer from, which a lot of the cheaper pedals and Demon Effects are particularly guilty of this, is having a useless tone stack.
Yeah, yeah, they're very well dialed in. The Demon stuff are. There's a little bit of a disclaimer that I'd like to make here. So the way that I checked the facts and figures for this was basically looking at the end of 2022, based on the views that they had at that point. Now there were some Demon Effects pedals that I released later on in the year, which were getting close to this one, and I think if they'd had a fair crack at the whip, might have even beaten this one.
Well, I mean, their King of Tone clone is absolutely superb. I got hold of one second hand and I sold it because I needed money, basically. I regret it because it actually had more control options. It had more dip switches in it than an actual King of Tone. So it actually had an extra gain stage setting and all sorts. So, you know, that was really, really, really good. So I think they're definitely worth looking at whilst they still exist, because someone will take them down soon.
Yes, it's almost inevitable that they will have to change the way that they do business within the next couple of years or so before those copyright infringements catch up with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking I'm hearing things sounded like BPC claimed to have checked facts. I say nothing.
Wow, being called out here a little bit. I mean, this is Mr. Bimpson, who checks out the podcast on a weekly basis, so he knows the standard fare. We're going to go on to number 3, which is possibly one of the favourite for me off this list. And talking of Mr. Bimpson, this happens to be his pedal. So this is the TC Electronics Rusty Fuzz. So let's check that out. The chat's getting wild straight away. I was just peeking at that whilst this video was playing. We've got Josh throwing some comments down there. I'm not even gonna comment on those in the video. I don't want this like demonetized or anything. But definitely seems to be had down there in the comments. So the TC Rusty Fuzz is like for all purposes, it's basically a silicon fuzz face with a tone stack. Like, yeah, for my money, like one of the most versatile budget fuzzes, because when you bring the gain down, it doesn't lose all tone completely, and you can actually use it as quite a nice kind of vintage overdrive. Yeah, I mean, I've owned this one, and I'm a big fan of these TC pedals. I've got the I can't remember what it's called now. It's just over there out of my eye line, but the El Cambino, that one, the one that's the tube screamer, yeah. And I love those pedals. Yeah, I have one bugbear with them: the fact that when you press your foot down on the pedal, it doesn't actually switch on. You have to lift your foot off, which drives me mental. But the Rusty Fuzz I owned about 2 years ago when I started my fuzz odyssey, and do you know what? It's one of the most fun fuzzes I've played. I'm not going to say usable fuzz. I'm going to say fun fuzz. And I have two distinct I have 3 distinct categories: fun fuzz, usable fuzz, and in the bin. And the majority of fuzzes, as far as I'm concerned, are in the bin. But Rusty was in the fun pile, definitely. Absolutely. I've just seen Mr. Bimpson saying he'll take the twin note and the super fuzz over the Rusty Fuzz. any day. Now the Super Fuzz is definitely one of those that that falls into the fun fuzz category.
Which one's the Super Fuzz?
The Behringer, the bright orange.
Oh, didn't you buy that off me?
I possibly did.
Yeah, that was a cool fuzz. That's a cool fuzz. Although actually, funnily enough, that one's actually better as the boost settings. Actually, one of the best boosts I ever used.
Yep. Oh.
Copper Sonic Maniac.
Yeah.
Well,
he's done a video of that on Pedal Wars of Doom, and it's worth checking out. Yeah, the Super Fuzz it's a very popular pedal. It seems like it's having its day in the sun at the moment, especially.
I mean, fun fuzz. You know, I mean, for me, fun fuzz is in this box here.
My man.
So yeah, we'll probably talk about that later, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, just for our viewers who are watching on mobile devices, because our screens are quite small. That was the Ritual Devices Grimalkin, which I've been calling the Grimalkin for so long, but your pronunciation is absolutely spot on.
Oh, the Grimalkin.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it's meant to be? Isn't it like some mythical beast from World of Warcraft or something like that?
Yeah, it's like a cat-like creature, I believe.
Yeah, well, it's actually on the. If you look really carefully, I didn't realize until recently the etched pattern is actually a cat.
Yes, yeah, it looks. Yeah, I first
took me ages to figure that out.
Yeah, it looked like floor tiles to me because it had this corresponding pattern. I thought it looks kind of like vintage, like ornate Victorian floor tiles, and then you look closer and it's little cats. It's brilliant.
Anyway, that not Rusty Fuzz. Rusty Fuzz, great budget pedal that I think. If you are looking to get started with kind of the fuzz that you've heard on like the White Stripes and kind of the more vintagey, crazy fuzz, is a fantastic place to start because you can pick them up dirt cheap.
Yeah, me and my friend Matt, who does the podcast with me quite a lot of the time, we've got a bugbear with cheap fuzz, and that quite often cheaper fuzzes don't sound all that great. But this one is definitely one of those fuzzes that if you start with one of these, you'll know exactly what a fuzz is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, I think this one, for me, the Cuvave, if you get, so I can't remember what it's called now, there's a Cuvave fuzz.
It's just called the fuzz.
There's like two different versions of it. One's really good,
yeah,
and one's really bad. And I had the really bad one where your guitar actually overloaded it, and you always had to have the volume back on the guitar, otherwise the fuzz didn't work hardly.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the Donna Stylish Fuzz as another really good budget fuzz that is much smoother than the Rusty Fuzz, much more fuzz facey.
Yeah.
But again, a really good one. Can't wait to get my plasma coil. If I could afford a plasma coil, I would buy a plasma coil, but I can barely afford the Rusty Fuzz today. But that's because I've been on a spending spree of late, which I probably shouldn't say loudly with the wife not that far away.
Hey, I mean, it's not like we're live on the internet.
No, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
It would be. Right. Next one up, and this one is quite the mythical beast. It is the Mosky Silver Horse.
Oh, yes.
There we have it. The Rusty, not the Rusty Fuzz.
The Rusty Horse.
The Rusty Horse. Yes, the Silver Horse.
Isn't that the gold? Isn't that the gold horse?
Yeah, because they do two versions of this, don't they? They do the silver and the gold one.
Yeah, I think the gold one I've got in parts somewhere. I've had both of them a couple of times.
Yeah, I actually bought this one off Everything Joseph, one of our mutual.
Yeah. So do you know where he bought that from?
Was that yours?
That was from me when I had that big clear out of mini pedals.
There we go. So it all comes right.
It does, mate. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the Silver Horse and I've had the Golden Horse twice.
Uh-huh.
Actually, no. Which one's which? No, sorry. I've had the Silver Horse twice and I've had the Golden Horse once.
Yeah.
And what I was amazed at is I took one of them apart, and it had the right
The
Germanium
diodes.
diodes in it, and it's like,
Nice.
hey, and you actually, when I did a kind of a back-to-back of different clon pedals a while back, and obviously I don't have a clon or a KTR, but it was the Silver Horse that people go, that sounds best, and it was the cheapest one on the board.
Yeah, it's a really versatile clon, isn't it? So this one has got both silver and gold modes within it. It does your standard clon thing, but so you've got the switch and it gets you. So you can bump up the gain on the gold mode. Is it? I don't know which mode's which, but I know that like there's one of the modes is a little bit higher gain and a little bit more saturated. So you can use it in the standard clone ways, the like brightness boost with all of the gain rolled off. You can do it like kind of emulating the edge of breakup of an amp. You could also have it as a nice kind of crunch addition, or like boosting a driven channel as well, like kicking it into a little bit extra gain. We've got some more comments down here. We've got
it was a great one here. What was that? Try the Wish clon.
Yeah,
I keep hearing about that one actually.
So we've got Josh mentioning the Wish clon. We've got Rising in the Lights saying he had the golden horse, and it was a little bit noisy, but for 20 quid. I don't remember this one being particularly noisy, but I mean clons in and of themselves, once you start pushing the gain quite high, they do get noisy. Like the circuit itself is quite a noisy circuit.
It is, and I think also as much as it does do the higher gain, it's not really meant for that.
Oh dear, he's going off on some really crazy experimental sense here. A golden horse,
and green
ringer. Oh my gosh, that's We'll leave that one there.
This isn't a bass channel, my friend.
But look, this is one of those pedals that everyone should own at least once, because like they are so notorious. You find them like even on the most extreme like prices, these pedal boards with like strifectors on them, you'll still find like a Mosky golden horse on a silver horse on there somewhere, because they're just so good. I think
there's a great little leave it on pedal, because it doesn't take up much space. You can just leave it on a nice little boost and just have it never touch it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to use this opportunity now to point you all down here, because very, very recently, as in like this weekend, I launched some merch. So definitely have a look down there. We've got some Teespring links, and I think we've got a mug available and some t-shirts. If you do want to support the channel, that is the best way to do it. So yeah, check that stuff out. So number 1, drum rolls please. This is the big one. It is the American Sound by Joyo or Harley Benton. So let's go.
Or a moon.
Yeah. So there we have it, the winner. Mine is a Harley Benton, there, as you can see.
Mine's in a moon.
Indeed. But they're all the same thing. I think K-Line now do one as well. Same layout. They're all based on the...
They're all the same thing.
Yeah, it's the Tech 21 Blonde, I believe it's based on.
That's right, yeah.
So the reasons why you absolutely must have one of these. That 3-band EQ is like sublime. It is so powerful that you can, like, whatever guitar you're putting into it, you can dial in to fit that guitar.
Yeah.
some of the like really good ways of using this, like so many people have asked me on the channel. I used to use it in front of a Blackstar H25, which the clean channel, not particularly all that inspiring. Like very, very usable, but a little bit sterile sounding. And I used to run this in the front end to kind of fenderize that clean channel. And then it gave it so much character then.
Yeah, I actually use mine with a cab sim. So they have a cab sim basically hard soldered onto the board.
Yeah.
Unlike the Tech 21s where you could turn it off. So originally I used that with the DI box in the studio when I was practicing.
Yeah.
Instead of an amp. And then I actually I desoldered some bits in there to remove the cab sim. And then I had this running into my Sonicake IR when I first started doing ampless practice with the new band.
Sonicake, there we go. Just brought up the picture.
So I used it like that. So it's a great, and the thing with this is not just the 3-band EQ, it's the voice dial. So
yes.
that bottom middle one, where it can take you from tweed through to blackface and quite a few things in between. Just make it. You can use it as an overdrive pedal. You can use it as an amp. You can use it as a direct recording tool. You can get some quite dirty distortion out of it as well. You know, you can take a blackface and look at what a blackface with distortion would sound like almost. It's just incredibly versatile. And I think there's a whole range of them though. It's not just you can get the Liverpool sound, which is your AC, isn't it?
Yeah, the AC tone is the Joyo version. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so they're your Voxes.
You've got the British sound. I've got it down here on a little pedal board as well.
Yeah, the Mosky have got one of those as well. I've got that. That's your Marshall.
Yeah.
Which one's the orange?
So you've got the Oxford sound, which was released most recently.
Which is an orange.
California, which is a Mesa as well. And there is an extreme metal in a similar enclosure to this. It's like a black one, and I think that one's 5150 based, but I'm not entirely sure.
This is the best of them, without any shadow of a doubt. The American sound is the best one because it's the one that sounds closest. And I've tried a few of them. It's the one that sounds closest to the amp it's meant to sound like, and it's probably the most sort of, I was going to use a silly word, musical sounding of them. The rest of them can sound a bit sterile, and the cab sim's a little bit heavy. Whereas this one, the cab sim's great, but even if you plug it straight into an amp, it doesn't do what a lot of cab sims do, which is overpower the amp.
Yeah.
Just make it sound like you're playing through a cardboard box. So yeah, absolutely fantastic pedal.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I agree with it being here at the top spot with the most views. Again, this is one of these that if I would have done a demo a little bit earlier in the year, there might have been a little bit of a fight going on, because the AC tone is coming up to this one really quickly, and that was done at the end of last year. Yeah, so the American sound I would definitely suggest. Like I say, that Fender clean amp voicing, really good, and running a IR after it is sublime. The AC tone kind of sits in between that and the British, because the British is really good for your driven tones. So like the spectrum of them, it's like clean and then kind of clean, but with a bit of grit with the AC, and then the British with the like with a Marshall tone. Again, as you said, like probably the most versatile out of the lot is the American, and it sounds closest to what you're supposed to be getting. I really like the British one as well, because I really like kind of driven Marshall tones, but you have to be a little bit more reserved with the controls. There's a much thinner band on that voice knob that sounds like smack on like a Marshall.
Yeah, I think the other thing with the American sound is it takes pedals really well, because of the way it's, and as you say, because the sort of the Marshall one is already quite driven, and the other ones are a bit more drive heavy. The American sound will take anything you push into it really nicely. Yeah. So, and it is amp-like, not music. I suppose it's the most amp-like in the way it responds. And I know people who've like recorded albums using them as their amp, you know, just because it's easy to direct record through it. So it's a good, they're a good pedal. The Harley Benton, a Moon, K-Line, and Joyo, they're all the same. They're all identical internally. So you'll be golden with any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can get these for, I think it's about 25 to 30 pounds.
It's ridiculous. You know, it's pocket money almost.
Oh, absolutely. For the sake of that, they are definitely worth trying. We've got a few comments talking about. We got went back to the Mosky stuff, talking about the fact that Mosky have also got Rat and Muff clones that are really good.
I haven't tried them actually.
Their OCD clone's actually pretty good. I think it's the Obsessive Drive or something like that.
Yeah.
Very good. A lot of the Mosky stuff I've tried has been absolutely bang on. And
well, I mean, I swear by the Spring Reverb. That's like my gigging setup is, well, what we'll see in a minute, probably the like a amp in a box or amp in a pedal and a Mosky Spring Reverb in its effects loop, and that's all I use for my amp setup now.
Yeah, one thing that I did forget to mention actually at the start of this is that the way that I calculated who would go on to this top 5 list, I made the list so that there weren't duplicates of different companies. So where Mosky came in, the Spring Reverb actually would have been, I think, 4th. But because
I mean, think of that, it's been around for a billion years at this stage as well. You know, I think I think everyone's done a video on it by now.
Yeah. I was quite late to it actually, and it was one of those that because I'd done it later on in the year, it didn't quite have the momentum as the Silver Horse did.
And it would have been me and Simon battering you to get one, probably.
Yes, it was that relentless.
Because Simon swears by it as well.
Indeed, that's Simon of JSA, who I featured a bunch of stuff on my channel. You featured a bunch of stuff on your channel as well.
Yeah.
Because they are just very good. Not always within that kind of budget category, but they are definitely worth shelling out a little bit more for. Right, I'm gonna move our screen up here, like that, because we're gonna do a few honourable mentions. We've got our top 5 of the pedals which we think you absolutely must own in 2023, but we're gonna do some honourable mentions. Do you want to take it away, Anjay? Because you've got a few, haven't you?
Yes. Do you know what? I don't even think I introduced myself at the beginning of this video. I'm Anjay from AM Guitar. Yo. Right. So about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So I have. Yeah, I know. The really high tech setup here. I've got a pedal board. So on this board, we have 3 pedals that really stuck out for me this year. So we've got the Carl Martin Ampster.
Yeah.
We've got the Soundlad Liverpool Scran, and we have the Eddie Rifkin Karen, the Karen Light or Basic, I think it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that down because that's bloody heavy. So the Carl Martin Ampster is a full tube amp in a box.
Yeah.
It has 2 cab sims built in. It's all analog, and I got that because the band I'm in, my singer is a control freak and likes everything in the mixing desk. So I wanted a tube amp that I could put on the floor, and literally I run that with a Mosky reverb in it, and then a pedal board into that. Yeah. So probably the best. And I think I've tried a lot of floor amps to get to that one because it had the XLR out, it has the ground lift, it has a couple of little features on it. And it was really simple, no digital nonsense on it. Digital nonsense, yeah. I'm a bit old school now, and I think I've regressed slightly.
Indeed, we might have a video coming out about that sometime soon, mightn't we?
Or you mean my stomp, my little paddy with the stomp where I sold it. Then so the Soundlad, Soundlad Liverpool Scran. Yeah. Soundlad Liverpool Scran. So that is a really unique overdrive that is designed by a guy who's a sound engineer, and it's kind of going back to transparent. It doesn't have tone controls. It has air controls because he's a sound engineer, so he's kind of like playing in the space where it allows you to push out from the mix. But it's just a really interesting overdrive. It's not a clone of something for once. So for me, it was just it's an interesting pedal that I'm still learning. It's taken me a few months to get used to how to make use of it because it's not a tube screamer, you know. Which is the thing, you know. So many of these pedals that you and I try are tube screamers or fuzz faces with or a rat with a load of stuff thrown onto it, or even not bother those. Like just there's a clone. Here you go.
Yeah, straight clones. There have been a few come through these doors over here. Yeah,
absolutely. And then the final one. And like I said, I will give a quick mention to that one. We'll go over that another day because the Grimalkin really does need like months of going through.
Yeah.
But the Karen, and I can see Josh there saying, you know, I want the Karen pedal. The pedal, it's outstanding. So Eddie's a friend of mine, been friends with him for years, and he came out with this crazy pedal called the Karen Speaker Manager, and it was initially it's like is it the speaker cranker?
Okay, yeah, the EQD, yeah.
The EQD. It's basically originally one of those with a bass and treble EQ, a 2-band EQ, which you could drop in and out.
They absolutely
and then he tweaked
needed a tone stack with that, like the original, because they've bought
exactly.
special cranker synths with the tone stack. But I made a clone of it basically, like one of these pedal kits, and it's like the drive on it sounded great, but it was dark. It was really dark, and
it's unusable in reality. It's fun to play in your bedroom.
Yeah, there was nothing you could do. Like once you turned it up fully, it kind of opened up the transistors, and you got a bit more full range out of it. But everything was 10 times louder than it started off as.
Exactly, yeah. And so what Eddie did with the original Karen. So this is the basic. The original Karen, he had this rage control that was essentially kind of an overall output, but it never really went too much further than unity. It was really well balanced. And then that was all handmade. And then he released this basic end of last year, or middle of last year. And he said you pay less and get less. And it's got the rage control, the bass and the treble, but it's all on a printed circuit board. But I don't know what he did to it, but he changed it slightly in that it sounds really much brighter. And it's actually the first pedal in my entire chain. It's the first thing my guitar hits because I use it like a range master with some more controls.
Nice.
So as well as being, you know, as soon as somebody looks at it, they start laughing and that's brilliant. It also sounds incredibly good. It's just like this, the way I've got it set up as a very light overdrive that just pushes the rest of the effects chain beautifully. So, you know, as I would say, as the kids say, it's a meme, but it's also actually really useful. So for me, probably the most surprising pedal that I've used is this kind of what I thought was a joke and turned out to be this really great pedal as well. So yeah, definitely if you can get hold of one, they're very worth having. Especially, I prefer the basic version to the handmade version.
Yeah.
So, you know, there you go. They're my sort of three and a bit little outliers there that surprised me last year.
Absolutely. I mean, I would be remiss if I did not mention my absolute one true love of the guitar pedal world. I think you even know which guitar pedal I'm mentioning here, and a load of the people in the comments probably will already. The Mojo by TC Electronics is my... indeed.
I actually literally have one next to me.
That is the one, yeah. It's
of a purple or brown?
Controversially, I prefer the original to the Paul Gilbert version. And I think it works best when it's at half gain or less.
Yeah.
And the Paul Gilbert one starts half gain at about a third of the game. So you've got less of that usable... I mean, they have tweaked it a little bit so that the gain does sound better. But
yeah,
for me, like it's my OG, it's my original. I saw that pedal, and before I even tried it, I went, I'm gonna love that pedal.
well, I got one because you basically badgered me into buying one.
Oh yeah, it was bullying.
It was, yeah. Let's not mince this. Yeah, it was bullying. I had to buy one. I think you're being paid by TC, to be honest.
I really wish I was, but this is just what's in my heart. Yeah, so the TC Electronic. I'm going to mention the Grimalkin as well, or Grimalkin, which I should probably pronounce it. It's a video that I will be doing a demo on the Pedalboards of Doom channel soon-ish. I
did one a few weeks ago.
Indeed. Yeah, to tide you over until that one comes out, please check out Anjay's one. He's done an absolutely fantastic job of it. I've got one on my channel as well, actually. I don't know why I'm not touting that video, but I think
too slow, man. Too slow.
Indeed. Yeah, go check out his. It's probably better. I think it's potentially the most versatile fuzz pedal out there, which is not something you tend to hear with fuzz pedals.
It's a weird beast. I mean, it took me. So I bless him. I borrowed it, and I had it for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was messaging, going, "Hey, I'm gonna do this soon. I'm gonna do this review really soon for you." And then I couldn't review it because I couldn't actually get my head around what it was. And I think I messaged you and said, "How the hell do you use this thing?"
Yeah,
and I've been talking to him for ages as well. I was like, I was talking to Wob for ages. He's going, I like it. I think, I don't know, maybe. What is it? How does it work?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it clicks.
There's 3 controls in the middle of it, because I think there are 5 or 6 controls altogether. And you've basically got like a fuzz control and an output level, which is your normal, and then you've got these 3 like vaguely cat-centric pedals. There's like fuzz, fluff, claws, and something else. And if you dial them in at a certain point, you get like a normal sounding fuzz, but then you start dialing different proportions of these 3 controls in, and you get synth fuzz, you get octave fuzz.
Yeah.
You can also make the pedal stop working.
Yes.
To a point like where you just get, it's like just a tone generator. And we'll just give you like an A440 just coming out.
It just starts feedbacking itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's one of those weird things. It's just, again, it's in, and I have this in the fun category. It's been on my board for a couple of weeks. And the only thing for me is, well, 2 things. One, you'll notice I don't have the original controls because I kept kicking the chicken head dials.
Okay.
So I had to change them because one of those is the volume, and all of a sudden it's like 3 times louder than it was. And there's so much that I want to do with it. It got to the point where I actually had to take it off the board for a while because all I was doing was playing with the howl control, which is like a voltage style.
Yeah.
So it brings in different octaves and noise and glitches and kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that more than I was playing the guitar. So I almost had to go cold turkey and take it off the board from it.
Yeah, you were having too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of it dropped out of the usable list purely because it was like an addiction. I just had to keep turning that until it, and every guitar and every setup, there are like different sweet spots on the howl. It just suddenly kicks into the octave you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then you turn it a bit more and it's suddenly a sub octave there. And then there's a higher octave in there as well. And it's kind of, it's one of the first pedals I've ever used where every time you dial something, you get a completely new experience from it. It's so well, cleverly put together.
Yeah. It's a little bit like the Fuzz Factor in that sense, where you can plug your guitar in the one day and get an absolutely amazing sound out of it, and then you come to it the next day, you plug it in, exactly the same settings, and it's a completely different sound.
You can tell we like it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think it's one of the most versatile pedals, like fuzz pedals out there, just because of the range of stuff that you can get in it. But you have to work with it. You've got to really put the time and effort into it, and it will reward you back with all of these different amazing sounds. I've just seen in the comments, and you've replied to it actually, if the switch on the Mojo actually does anything.
No.
The switch on the purple Mojo does. I am convinced that the one on the brown one is not hooked up to anything. It's just
No,
their decorative.
I think I did a whole video on my hatred of flicky switches that do nothing.
Yeah.
And I used, funny enough, I used the Mojo and I used the Karen as the examples where the Karen, you flick the switch, the whole tone stack gets dropped out. On the Mojo, you flick the switch and fairy dust rains down on you. You know, it just doesn't seem to do anything, but they keep, no matter what you say, no matter what people say to TC, they're like, no, it subtly changes the bottom end. No, it doesn't.
I mean, it really doesn't matter because the way that I set the Mojo is scoop a lot of the bottom out with the bass control anyway. So it probably actually is doing nothing for me.
I see the Copper Sonic Germaniac's got another. Are you shilling these? Are you getting paid by the tweet, by the message?
Indeed,
what is it? Right, Copper
Sonic.
So on Reverb, I could get one for £81. Well, if I hadn't just bought a ZVEX double rock, I might even have gone for that. But Indeed. So that might be next month.
Yeah, we will see. So we're almost at the point where we're wrapping up. I mean, you've done three honourable mentions. I've done 2 so far. What am I going to go for? Let's have a look. What have we got? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with the trusty JSA hot toddy, as mentioned by Affordaboard in one of the posts that I did leading up to this. The hot toddy I've used on a bunch of demos. I used to use it when I did the pickpocket series. I would run a hot toddy into a cab sim because it was such a touch responsive pedal, and it really lent itself to like the pick dynamics, like letting those come through. So I literally used that as a preamp pedal. So I owe a lot to that to the hot toddy. And again, giving a shout out to Simon as always, because he's a legend. Like in and of himself, he's just the coolest like tone wizard you'll ever find. A lot of his circuits he'll post up on his Instagram and just go, "Here's the circuit design. Just make it if you want."
I've had loads of his pedals. I've got up until recently my main clean tone was a thing he made me call the Box of Clean, which was a one of his compressors.
Yes,
I can't really calls that one. He's got an optical compressor he uses. Tight squeeze, that's it. So it's a tight squeeze with a version 2 or 3 little troublemaker with an extra bass control on it, an active bass control.
Yeah. And
that was how I set up the entire of my tone for like the last 2 years. The only reason it's not on the board now on the Karen is because it something between that and one of the other pedals that I use all the time. In fact, actually, something between that and the TC Plethora 5 that I use now, don't like each other, and I just get this like weird high pitched whine the whole time. So yeah, I've not tried the hot toddy though. I almost got one a few months back when he was kind of having a clear out.
Yeah.
And it is definitely one of the ones I wanted, because that and the amp lighter are 2 of the ones I really wanted to try for a while.
Yeah, the amp lighter is not the amp lighter. Is
the amp lighter?
Nice. Tube lighter?
Something like that.
Yeah. I've been curious about that as well. Our Andrew Bimpson's thrown something into the comments, which I think we should all do actually. So he's thrown in his top budget picks that haven't been mentioned today. What I want you to do, because I won't have a chance to read all these, get into the comments and actually throw them down there. I will read through and respond to all of them. And if I'm starting to see a pattern, maybe we'll do a second one of these with listener responses, like viewers' choice, top 5.
Oh, definitely. I think I will have a call out the Yellowfall, the Donna Yellowfall. So I use the Tom's Line version of that on my board as like kind of a slapback. So I've got like the Plethora 5, so I've got all of the delays that TC have ever built, and that is actually like the last thing on my effects chain is the Yellowfall, just for a bit of slapback.
After like, even though you've got the Plethora, it's
even though I've got like this 300 or 400 quid multi effects thing that does everything.
Yeah,
the little cheap And the one I've got's the one that's cheaper than the Donna Yellow Fall, but it's the same pedal.
Nice.
So that's like the last thing that my signal hits before it goes towards the amp.
Indeed. Yeah, another
Lo-fi it straight away.
Another bit of love for the Yellow Fall. There's another bit of love for JSA as well, the harmonic trim.
Oh yeah.
So, like, we're coming up to the end of the stream here. I'm gonna invite all of you in the comments who are already subs and are just your mainstays on the channel. So I'm gonna just extend a thank you to you guys. I'm gonna extend anyone who's new here, hit that sub button, and yeah, the bell icon as well, so that you get notified of all of the budget pedal stuff. We will be doing, like, I do almost for the past couple of months. I've done 2 budget pedals per week on the channel, so you'll get a demo for 2 budget pedals every week. And Jay, where can we find you as well? Because your channel is fantastic as well. It's one of the ones that I subscribe to and I watch religiously as well.
So I am AM Guitar. So if you don't try and search for it, because you'll find A minor chords, which just sucks for SEO. But if you go to youtube.com/@AM Guitar, you will find me. Or you can find me on Instagram with Dave Rage.
Indeed. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to put a link to
Sorry, I just see. Sorry, I'm not touching your bell. Sorry. Yeah, there's the child in me.
Oh, Mr. Vimpson. Comedian as ever. Yeah, I'll put the links down to AM Guitar in the show notes for this as well. So definitely check Anjay's channel out, because it's much in the spirit of mine, where we want to save you money but get you better tone as well.
Basically, I'm cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole reason I'm the budget pedal chap and not like moderately priced pedal chap.
The boss pedal chap.
Indeed. Right, so that's going to be us for today. I'm going to also put, for the people not watching this live, I'm going to put a link up here to a video that you should check out. It's probably going to be the Joyo.
Grimalkin.
No. I was going to do the Joyo American say, because it was our winner.
Oh yeah, that one, didn't it?
You know what? I'll do two. I'll do the Grimalkin and the It's the other way, isn't it? It's that way. The Grimalkin and the American sound. So check them out. So thank you so much for joining our first live stream on here. Let me know if you like it as well, because we will do more of these if you do.